Welcome to Spectrum News Within the Week. I am Rita Inung coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Tinubu seeks increase in number of judges, sends judicial reform bills to Senate. Governor Moino inspects jetty and marine terminal, reiterates commitment to restoring commercial activities in Oron local government area. Plus, South Korea's ex-First Lady jailed for 20 months for taking bribes. Stay tuned for detail of these stories and even more in a moment. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned. We begin the news within the week from the national scene where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had requested the Senate's approval for a series of judicial reforms aimed at increasing the number of judges across key courts in Nigeria. At the resumption of plenary, Senate President Senator Godswill Akpabio read a letter from President Bola Tinubu in which he requested an amendment to the Court of Appeal Act to raise the number of justices from 70 to 110. The president cited the need to strengthen the court and address the growing volume of cases. He also transmitted a bill seeking amendments to the Federal High Court Act to increase the number of judges from 70 to 90, up from the original provision of 50 judges. President Tinubu urged the Senate to give the bill expedited consideration. The proposed amendments were preferred to the Senate and on rules and business for further legislative action. In addition to proposed increases, the president sought Senate confirmation of the appointment of Justice Oyewole Joseph Kayode as a Justice of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Meanwhile, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu within the week unveiled the Climate Resilient Livelihoods Empowerment Program for Displaced Populations, a 10-year $250 million initiative designed to restore livelihoods and empower Nigerians displaced by climate-related disasters. The president announced in his opening address at the special event of a climate-induced mobility held under Nigeria's chairmanship of the Rabat process, which brought together global leaders and development partners to examine the links between climate change, migration, security and development. A statement today by the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Yomi Odunuga, said the President, who was represented by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, stated that the CLODIPS will be focused on empowering displaced persons through climate-smart agriculture, renewable energy entrepreneurship, climate data and digital employment, green value chains, as well as dedicated leadership tracks for women and youth. He added that the program reflects the federal government's shifts from emergency responses to long-term people-centered solutions that strengthen resilience and preserve human dignity. Away from that, the federal government on Wednesday unveiled plans to deploy military veterans to help secure Nigeria's ungoverned spaces as part of strategies to strengthen national security and drive economic activities in conflict-affected areas. This follows the inauguration of an 18-member committee by the Minister of Defense, General Christopher Musa, tasked with reclaiming ungoverned spaces for economic viability and repositioning the Nigerian Legion Corps of the commissioners and veterans. A statement by the ministry's Deputy Director of Information, Ndaline Chukwu, on behalf of the Director of Information and Public Relations, said the committee was inaugurated at the Ministry of Defense headquarters, Abuja, with the minister represented by the Permanent Secretary, Richard Phil-Lugawa. Speaking at the event, Musa said the deployment of veterans into ungoverned spaces would complement ongoing military operations by bringing experienced personnel into local security and development efforts, particularly in areas where state presence remain weak. Meanwhile, the federal government has approved the construction of a 1 trillion naira metropolitan rail service for Kano State, a major infrastructure project expected to transform urban transportation and stimulate economic growth in the state. Kano State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf disclosed the approval while addressing members of the Kano contingent who participated in the 2025 National Quranic Recitation Competition held in Borno State. According to the governor, the rail project is designed to provide a modern, efficient and affordable mass transit system that will link key districts within Kano metropolis, ease traffic congestion and enhance mobility for residents. He described the Kano Metropolitan Rail Service as a landmark intervention that would significantly improve the quality of life of residents and reposition Kano as a major transportation and commercial hub in northern Nigeria. The governor assured that the state government would work closely with relevant federal agencies to ensure smooth implementation of the project, transparency in execution, and maximum benefits for the people of the state. In the meantime, the federal government within the week disclosed that it has provided conditional cash transfers to over 34 million vulnerable Nigerians as part of ongoing efforts to cushion economic hardship and reduce poverty across the country. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction, Dr. Bernard Doro, made this known in Calabar at a maiden edition of the National Council on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. According to the minister, the intervention reflects the federal government's commitment to lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty through coordinated, inclusive and data-driven humanitarian programs. He added that the government is targeting 50 million beneficiaries before the end of the year, stressing that social protection remains a key pillar of the Tinubu's administration and its poverty reduction strategy. He explained that the National Council on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction was established to strengthen coordination and effectiveness of humanitarian interventions, noting that fragmented and isolated efforts could not deliver sustainable impact. From the legislature, the National Assembly within the week introduced a proposal in the ongoing amendment of electoral law that would give prison inmates in Nigeria the right to vote in elections. The leader of the Senate, Senator Ogbeyemi Bamidele, gave the hint ahead of the resumption of the National Assembly from Christmas break, adding that the proposed law would mandate the release of funds for general elections at least 1 year before the day of the elections. Bamidele further revealed that the Electoral Bill 2025 introduces no fewer than 20 defining highlights that would eventually differentiate it from the previous electoral regimes. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Lagos has concluded its plans to take its continuous voters registration CVR from the local government area offices to wards on rotational basis. Speaking during a stakeholders meeting on the second phase of its CVR in Lagos today, the Lagos Resident Electoral Commissioner, REC, Professor Ayobami Salami, explained that the motive was to discourage voter apathy ahead of the 2027 general election. He said the continuous voter registration exercise is one of INEC's most critical statutory responsibilities. It is the primary means by which eligible Nigerians are afforded the opportunity to register to vote, transfer their registration, correct personal detail, and replace lost or damaged permanent voters' cards, PVCs. And now to the judiciary, where Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court, Abuja, within the week, struck out an ex parte motion filed by the convicted leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, seeking his transfer from the Sokoto Correctional Facility. At Tuesday's proceedings, Kanu's legal representatives, Demdu Ashon, a senior legal advisor of the legal counsel, informed the court that he wished to withdraw from the matter, citing irreconcilable issues. He explained that since the last adjourned date, he had been in constant phone communication with the relatives of the applicant. However, the relatives did not show up at the legal aid office to depose to the application, despite phone calls and promises to appear. Demdu added that Kanu sought to dictate the proceedings and control what counsel would say in court. In the meantime, the National Industrial Court of Nigeria, sitting in Abuja within the week, granted an interlocutory injunction filed by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, and the FCT administration, compelling workers under the Joint Union Action Committee to suspend their ongoing strike. The claimants had dragged the chairman of the Joint Union Action Committee, Rifat Katu Ayota, and its secretary, Abdullahi Umar Saleh, before the court, seeking an order restraining the defendants and their agents from embarking on any industrial action, picketing or lockout. Delivering his ruling, Justice E.D. Subilim held that although the matter before the court amounted to a trade dispute and had met the required legal conditions, the defendants has the right to embark on industrial action, but not absolutely. He ruled that workers were prohibited from participating in a strike once a dispute had been referred to the National Industrial Court, adding that where such a strike was already ongoing, it must cease pending the determination of the case. In education, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM within the week approved 15 CBT centers in Jigawa State. This was contained in a statement issued by the board's public relations officer, Jigawa State Office, Mukaram Adamu. He said the approved CBT centers include State Headquarters Mechanic Village, Federal University Dutse E-Learning Center 1, Federal University Dutse E-Learning Center 2, Federal University Dutse CBT ICT, Bunyamin Usman Polytechnic, Hadeja Future Map Foundation, Hadeja, and College of Education Gumel Center 1. Also approved are Jigawa State College of Education, Gumel Center 2. In a related development, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board JAM within the week dismissed claims that candidates already in universities were barred from registering for the 2026 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination UTME and Direct Entry DE. The board dismissed the claims in a statement by its spokesperson, Dr. Fabian Benjamin, in Abuja. Benjamin said the claims were a distortion of its guidelines by self-styled education advocates seeking attention and traffic on social media platforms. He noted that the 2026 UTME/DE advertisement clearly directed candidates to disclose their matriculation status during registration, in line with its mandate to prevent multiple admissions. The JAM spokesperson said that failure to disclose an existing matriculation status constituted an offense under the law governing admissions. Back here, Akwa Ibom State Governor Pastor Omoino within the week reiterated his administration's commitment to restoring commercial activities in Oron local government area to redeem its ancient natural identity as one of the major marine economic hubs of the state. Governor Oino gave the assurance during an interview after carrying out an inspection at the ongoing construction of the Oron Marine Terminal, Shore Protection Jetty, Warehouse and Recreational Facility projects in Oron. He admitted that his administration's commitment towards ensuring the development of the marine terminal with modern facilities to enhance the economic potential of the area and restore full commercial activities to boost the economy of the state. Assessing the progress of work done at the project site, the governor commended the project contractor for the speedy realization of the vision, stating that his decision to pay a visit to the site was to inspect the progress of the project and compare the architectural design with the reality on ground. Government House correspondent Jane Wa reports that Governor Oino, who thanked the people of Oron for their cooperation and support to the contractor to ensure the progress of the job, described the project as a treasurable gift to Oron people and charged them to protect and take ownership of it.
But generally, it's good. I look forward to coming back here, making this place a beehive of activity. You can see the cold room, dry storage, the cold storage, the drying area for fish, then the passengers area for the, no more will people come here and tell our fishermen, it's night. If you don't sell now, your fish will go bad. No, they have a cold room. And then when we finish, we intend to, the military will be somewhere here. So we intend to now work with the cooperative, Bureau of Cooperative, to empower our fishermen so they can now go bring their catch, and then you can have that all run. My grandmother used to incidentally come from my village here to buy crayfish. And in the whole of this country, crayfish from here is the best. I want to thank the managers of the museum for granting us permission to collaborate with them so that even when tourists come here, they can also get the story.
In the meantime, Governor Moinor has urged people of the state to participate in the continuous voter registration CVR and APC membership e-registration exercise, stressing that it is crucial for validating party membership and ensuring their voices are heard. Addressing a crowd of APC members and supporters at his hometown Ikotekpene Ujo, the governor said that boosting both registrations is also critical to attracting more dividends, programs and welfare to the area. Governor Ino directed the people to ensure that they register appropriately with the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to have their permanent voters card (PVC) and become eligible to participate in future electoral exercises. Having gone round during the day to inspect the ongoing 120-meter Ofrio Eket Bridge and the 2.5 kilometers dual carriageway connecting Eket and Insitubium local government areas and the ongoing General Hospital project in Ikotekpene. The governor enjoined the people to fully support the projects and other developmental initiatives of the administration for the overall benefit of the local government area and the state at large. Earlier, the chairman of the Insitubium local government area, Charles Alfred, had commended the governor for his impactful leadership across the state, expressing the people's delight and pride to have the governor as their son. He described the governor as a man whose exceptional leadership have distinguished him for respect and emulation within and beyond the state. And still to come in the news. CBN approves temporary use of expired NAFDAC licenses for imports. Stay tuned for detail of these stories and even more will be brought to you shortly. And aims to support 2.4 million people. Dujarric stressed that the reduction in funding is due to constrained resources, not reduced disease outbreaks, and reduced humanitarian aid will worsen food insecurity, water shortages and increase health risk. And still in Africa, despite heavy fighting against rebel forces over the past few days, the South Sudanese government insisted that what it is at is not war. The United Nations has said the clashes are occurring at a scale not seen since before the 2018 peace agreement. The latest fighting between factions loyal to President Salva Kiir and his longtime rival Riek Machar erupted in late December in Jonglei State, north of the capital Juba. President Kiir's forces and those loyal to the first Vice President Machar fought a brutal civil war from 2013 to 2018. In September of that year, they reached a peace deal known as the Revitalized Agreement on the Resolution of Conflict in the Republic of South Sudan, RACS. On the foreign scene, the government of Ecuador within the week condemned what it described as an attempt by a U.S. federal immigration agent to enter the Ecuadorian consulate in Minneapolis. A statement by Ecuador's foreign ministry said the agent was prevented from gaining access by consular officials who acted to guarantee the protection of the Ecuadorians who were inside the consulate at the time. Reports say Ecuador, whose president is an ally of Trump, has filed an official complaint. The incident comes at a time of high tension in the U.S. city, just days after intensive care nurse Alex Pretty was shot dead by border agents during protests against the Trump administration's immigration crackdown in Minneapolis. And still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump within the week announced he is raising tariffs on South Korean imports to 25% after accusing Seoul of not living up to a trade deal reached last year. In a post on social media, Trump said he would increase levies on South Korea from 15% across a range of products, including automobiles, lumber, pharmaceuticals, and all other reciprocal tariffs. Trump noted that South Korean lawmakers have been slow to approve the deal, while U.S. acted swiftly to reduce its tariffs in line with the transaction agreed to. Meanwhile, South Korea said it had not been given official notice of the decision to raise tariffs on some of its goods and wanted urgent talks with Washington over the issue. It added that South Korea's industry minister Kim Jong-kwan, who is currently in Canada, will visit Washington as soon as possible to meet U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. Meanwhile, a South Korean judge handed the country's former First Lady Kim Kyung-hee 20 months in jail on Wednesday for accepting lavish gifts from a cult-like church, but acquitted her of alleged stock manipulation and other charges. Controversy has long followed 53-year-old Kim, while accusations of graft, influence peddling, and even academic fraud have dominated her husband Yoon Suk-yeol's time in office. Both are now in custody. Yoon for actions taken during his disastrous declaration of martial law in December 2024, and Kim for corruption on Thursday. Judge Woo In-sung of the Seoul Central District Court found Kim guilty of corruption and sentenced her to 20 months in prison. And still on the foreign scene, the European Union and India have announced a landmark trade deal after nearly 2 decades of on and off talks, as both sides aim to deepen ties and tension with the U.S. European Commission. President Ursula von der Leyen made this known in a post on X. Von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa are in Delhi, where they met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi at a bilateral summit. Both India and the EU are seeking to strengthen strategic and trade ties with the rest of the world as they contend with the economic and geopolitical pressure from the US. On our business news, Dangote Refinery within the week announced a 100 naira per litre increase of the retail price of premium motor spirit PMS nationwide. The company disclosed this in a statement. According to the $20 billion refinery plant, its gantry price of petrol is now sold at 799 naira per litre, while the retail price is 839 naira per litre, up from 699 naira and 739 naira per litre sold since December last year. The Chief Executive Officer of Dangote Petroleum Refinery, David Bird, stated that the refinery continues to supply the domestic market with approximately 50 million litres of PMS daily, with the nationwide evacuation and distribution still operating normally. Still in business, Nigeria's exports to Africa reached 4.82 trillion naira in the first half of 2025, up 14% year-on-year compared to 4.21 trillion naira in the first half of 2024. West Africa absorbed over 62% of Nigeria's continental exports. Comptroller General of the Nigerian Customs Service, Bashir Adewale Adeniyi, said the trend last year highlights Nigeria's role as a hub for intra-continental trade and value chains, adding that it is a clear signal of strengthening regional trade momentum. Meanwhile, data from the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) show that West Africa has remained Nigeria's longest market on the continent. Meanwhile, the federal government has taken steps towards resolving Nigeria's estimated 4 trillion naira power sector debt burden as 5 power generation companies signed settlement agreements under the Presidential Power Sector Debt Reduction Program following the issuance of a 501 billion naira bond, attracting interest from pension funds, banks and asset managers and other institutional investors, signaling renewed confidence in the government's electricity market reforms and its approach to resolving legacy sector challenges. The program, driven by President Bola Tinubu, is designed to address payment arrears owed to power generation companies for electricity supplied over the last decade. Still in business, the Central Bank of Nigeria on Tuesday approved a temporary window allowing importers to use expired National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control licenses for the importation documents, offering short-term relief to businesses affected by system changes in Nigeria's trade processing framework. In a circular issued by its Trade and Exchange Department and published on the bank's website on Tuesday, the CBN said authorized dealer banks may continue to process form-in applications with NAFDAC licenses that expired on December 31st, 2025. The approval, which takes effect immediately, will run for 2 months and lapse on February 28, 2026. And still to come in the news, Djokovic advances to semis after Musetti's injury. Stay tuned for detail of this story and even more in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News within the hour. Going now to health, pharmacists have called for a more balanced and inclusive composition of the National Task Force on Clinical Governance and Patent Safety, warning that the current structure could undermine patent safety and sector-wide trust. They argued that the task force, which currently has 18 physicians, 1 pharmacist, 2 nurses, 1 administrator and a representative of public interest failed to reflect the multidisciplinary nature of clinical governance. The druggist maintained that no single cadre should not dominate a task force meant to address complex clinical challenges. According to the pharmacist, a more balanced multidisciplinary approach would strengthen health sector decision-making, foster collaboration among professionals, and ultimately improve health outcomes and ensure patient safety. And still in health, a consultant neuropsychiatrist, Dr. Memuna Kadiri, on Wednesday identified psychosocial problems and mental health challenges as key causative factors of suicide in Nigeria. Kadiri also said the medical director of Pinnacle Medical Services Limited spoke with newsmen in Lagos. She said that most people who died by suicide or attempted suicide could do that as a result of a mental health problem or a psychosocial problem. She listed the mental health and psychosocial problems to include depression, anxiety, mental disorder, social isolation, stressful life events such as death of a loved one or loss of a job, and substance abuse, amongst others. She said with family history of mental disorder or suicide, previous suicide attempts, bullying, poverty, frustration, financial imbalance and hopelessness which exist at the individual level, amongst others. To sports news now, where West Ham within the week signed winger Adama Traore from Fulham in a deal worth up to £2 million. The 30-year-old moves up from West to East London, where he reunites with Nuno Espirito Santo, who managed him at Wolves. The deal, worth an initial £1 million, could rise to £2 million with add-ons and runs until the end of the season, with the option of a further year, capped 8 times by Spain. Traore has made just 2 Premier League starts for Fulham this season and was not involved in their 2-1 win at home to Brighton on Saturday. Still in sports, Novak Djokovic within the week advanced to the Australian Open semi-finals after Lorenzo Musetti retired injured when leading by 2 sets. Djokovic, aiming for a standalone record 25th Grand Slam singles title, was wayward, error-strewn and irritable against the inspired Italian in front of a stunned crowd. Musetti was 6-4, 6-3 up and looked set for the semi-finals when he pulled up early in the 3rd set. The 5th seed took a medical timeout for treatment on his thigh, but unable to serve or move properly. He walked to the net and shook hands at a 3-1 down in the 3rd. Reports say Musetti was helped down the corridor by a member of his team as he left the court. Meanwhile, Salim Fago Lawal has joined Czech First Division club Victoria Plzeň on a 3.5-year contract. Lawal moved to Victoria Plzeň from Croatian outfit Nik Istra. The 23-year-old registered 15 goals and 2 assists. Still in sports, Dallas Mavericks Cooper Flag became the first teenager to score 49 points in an NBA game as they lost 123-121 against the Charlotte Hornets of the American Airlines Center. The 19-year-old beat Clifford Robinson's previous record of 45 points set in 1980 when playing for the New Jersey Nets against the Detroit Pistons. Flag, making his 43rd appearance of the season, also became the youngest player to score at least 40 points and 10 rebounds. The 20-year-old scored a career-high 34 points and a successful with 8 of his 12 three-pointer attempts, setting a rookie record for Charlotte. On our entertainment news, a budding Nigerian artist Joseph Olubayo Oshupola, popularly known as Emperor Joe, has expressed his desire to use his music as a platform to promote international peace, social harmony and cultural integration. The emerging musician said his artistic vision goes beyond entertainment, focusing on spreading messages that encourage unity across cultures, ethnicity and religious backgrounds. Emperor Joe explained that his music remains one of the strongest universal languages capable of bridging divides and fostering understanding among people from different parts of the world. And still on our entertainment news, popular Nigerian TikTok star Peller within the week revealed that he is not considering furthering his education at the moment. The 20-year-old content creator explained that he cannot afford living streaming and spending hours in the classroom. He insisted that education would always be available whenever he is ready. Peller added that he would only return to school when he is 40 years old. Peller reportedly completed his secondary education years ago. His ex-girlfriend Jarvis advised him on multiple occasions to further his education while they were dating. Lastly, in the news within the week, actor Gideon Okeke has criticized the entertainment industry for prioritizing Afrobeat stars over actors, actresses and filmmakers. In a video on social media, Okeke questioned why musicians receive global recognition while Nollywood professionals are overlooked. He referenced top music stars, wondering if they would acknowledge Nollywood talents if they looked beyond their circle. Okeke noted that despite Afrobeat's global attention, Nigerian films lack international exposure and endorsements, stating that influential figures aren't promoting Nollywood. And that's all we have for you on the news at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News within the week. I am Rita Eno. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.